Having grown up in agriculture from a diversified row crop and dairy farm at home for veterinary practice into agribusiness since 1976, for agriculture, it's always been about value. You folks know about inputs. You know about what it takes to make a crop, but you also know what the output is. That's what you're looking for in the fall. Sometimes in federal government, I find that we focus on inputs, and we focus on what are we getting or what are we putting, but we don't focus too much on what we're getting out. And I'm an outcome kind of guy. I'm an outcome measurer. And we're going to have some measurements and metrics in the USDA so you all can tell us how we're doing. I want to hear from you, not just today, but I want to hear from you on a continuing basis about how we're doing, because I'm very, very serious about our customer service. I'm telling our folks overall that I'm a data-driven, facts-based, sound science decision maker who's just absolutely impassioned and focused on customer service, because ultimately the customers pay the bills, and that's what we're there to serve. So that leads my principles there. We're going to do it with integrity, with ethical behavior and everything, and that's the principles we're going to operate on. If we don't meet the mark, I want you to tell me, because I'm also one of continuing improvement. What I found at the Department of Agriculture was we have a great cadre, many dedicated civil servants there who want to do well, who want to do right, who want to do great things for American agriculture. And I think you all are, the productivity of America is partly an example of how that's worked over the years. I've told the President, I said, we talk about manufacturing versus agriculture in NAFTA negotiations, and I said, Mr. President, I tell you, if the manufacturing industry overall in the United States had the same degree of basic research, applied research, and a delivery system like the Cooperative Extension Service, we would not be talking about the demise of American manufacturing today. And I believe that. And what's happened is you all are just blowing the doors off of productivity and challenging me on where we're going to sell it. And that had to do a little bit with my decision on realignment. It also began back in the 14 Farm Bill with Chairman Roberts, and Senator Daines wasn't quite there yet, but not on the Senate side, but it had to do with their understanding that trade is vital to American agriculture. I say that agriculture is vital to the United States economy, trade is vital to the agricultural economy, and that's where we're going to focus on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a you grow it, I sell it kind of guy, and that's what we're serious about. And that's why I'm so delighted to have a partnership with Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross, who's a New York fellow but has sunk his teeth in the ag issues, doing a wonderful job for us. Chairman Roberts knows our U.S. Trade Representative, Ambassador Bob Lighthouser, for many years, where he worked with Kansas Senator Dole. And so we've got a great team, not only there, but we've got a great team in the cabinet as a whole. In fact, I think this is probably the most holistic approach to governing I've ever seen. The relationships that I'm developing with your own Interior Secretary, Ryan Zinke, because our fields overlap to a good degree in Bureau of Land Management and the Forest Service. With Scott Pruitt, the Administrator of EPA, is significant. Secretary Rick Perry of Energy, he and I were governors together, so we've got a great relationship in Interior, how that gets in. It was interesting that the President has signed an executive order talking about rural prosperity, and he called it an interagency task force, because you folks know better than anybody, when one agency in government pushes out, we get pushed off the boat. And that happens. We've seen that in EPA, we've seen it in the Corps of Engineers, we've seen it in many other areas. But let me tell you how focused this administration is on agriculture, understanding that you grow the things that the world wants. And it's the liquidity of trade that we can have because of your productivity that makes us a great trading partner worldwide. Besides, food is a pretty noble product to trade, right? And that makes us happy to go across the world and knocking on doors. So when the Farm Bill suggested an Undersecretary for Trade, I said, I think they're serious, and I think I'm serious in wanting to do that. We had an undersecretary that had responsibilities for the foreign agricultural services, which is trade, and also the domestic, which is a farm service agency that you all are familiar with. I said, you know, those are kind of two different jobs altogether. I want somebody that wakes up every day thinking about whose door can I knock on, whose doorstep can I stand on to sell our great American food and fiber products. That's what I want. And that's what we're going to get with an Undersecretary of Trade. On our farm service agency, I want somebody who wakes up every day saying, how can we deliver better service to our producers all across this country when they walk in that door? I give the example of 3 restaurants kind of native to Georgia. They've really grown nationwide, but they're there. One of them is a chili dog place called the Varsity. And the counter's about from one side of this building to the other, usually 3 or 4 deep, 5 deep with customers who's going in. But you better know what you want when you get to the door, because the waiter and the servers are saying, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? That's what I want our FSA and our NRCS and our crop insurance people saying when you walk in the door. What do you have? How can I help you today? What do you have? The other one is Waffle House. You may know of Waffle House. It's open 24/7, 365 days a year. Now, don't worry, FSA people. I'm not going to ask you to be there 24/7, but I want you available when people need you. I want us to answer the phone. I don't want to be looking at the clock at 15 minutes to 5, wrapping up everything, cutting all your computer. I want us to be there available when people need us and walk in. And the other one is Chick-fil-A, you may know about, a prestige, quick-serve restaurant with quality and excellent service. I want our folks, FSA folks, to say, when they want something from you, or you ask something from them, I want them to say, my pleasure, if you've been at Chick-fil-A. So what do you have? What do you have? Availability and a quality product with pleasure. So that's our goal in the realignment here as we look forward to making the USDA the most effective and efficient organization in U.S. government. I look forward to working with Chairman Roberts and Senator Daines and the Agricultural Committee as we go forward looking to the 18 Farm Bill. But I want to remind all of us, we call Senator Roberts the chairman of the Agricultural Committee. He's actually the chairman of the Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry Committee. And you need to think about all those because they're all important. Certainly, we're in the nutrition business. You grow it, and we provide it not only to our citizens, but worldwide. We provide the food that makes them nutritious and healthy food. So we've got to be understanding, while much of the budget of USDA has to do with the Food Nutrition Program, or SNAP, or food stamps, as we know, that's a balance, because when we talk about producing, we all talk about wanting a safety net. My goal is to have a safety net for all American citizens, producers, but also those who cannot afford. We don't, it's not in the heart of America to want to see anyone go hungry, and we don't want that to happen. Americans are compassionate, and the USDA will be compassionate as we administer that program. But on the other hand, I don't think it ought to be a permanent lifestyle either. It ought to be a hand up and help out to do that. Speaking of a safety net for farmers, I've had farm customers since 1976, have been one, and I don't know of a single farmer that I've ever met that would rather have a government program than a good crop at a fair price. And that's what we hope to get. We want you all. We've created a Secretary of Trade so that we feel like if you can produce it, it's our obligation to go find a market for it and to sell it and get a good price. Speaking of that, why is a safety net needed? As farmers, you don't set the price, you just take the price. Isn't that the truth? And then also, from the risks that you take, you can do everything right in producing a crop. You can put in all the right inputs, you can use the best technology, the best precision agriculture, but you're still vulnerable to what? The weather conditions. You can't keep floods, you can't keep hail, you can't keep drought, and you can't keep those away. So that's why we need a safety net. Many people in America don't understand the amount of equity that you put in the ground each and every year with an optimistic hope for a better crop. And then you put that percentage of your equity there every year. That's why we need a safety net for farmers and producers and ranchers. And that's why I'm very proud of the program that our senators have developed in the 14 Farm Bill. I think we made a lot of progress moving from direct subsidy payments to ARC and PLC, and a wonderful crop insurance program with which you producers participate. Now, I just want to say something kind of in a tough love kind of way about crop insurance. It's important, and we want it to be utilized. We want you to participate in crop insurance, but just let's face it, you don't buy insurance on your house hoping it'll burn down, do you? We don't want to do that. And neither do we want to buy crop insurance hoping our crop fails so we can file. So we got to get out of the mindset that if I invest $1 in crop insurance, I want to make sure I get $1.10 or plus out of that. Insurance is insurance, and crop insurance is a safety net for when things and disasters and tragedies hit that make it where you've done everything you should have done and yet the weather didn't cooperate. That's when we need to use an insurance program. So just like we don't want everybody on a permanent status on food stamps, we don't want to become dependent. If I know the farming community, you're an independent lot. That's why you're farmers and ranchers, because you want to do your thing and do it right and do it to the best of your ability and thrive and survive that way. And that's what we want to help. The USDA wants to help you and not hinder you. And I want to tell you, and many times that means getting out of your way and letting you do what you know how to do best. We've gotten so many prescriptive regulations. I'm very proud of the progress that President Trump has made in our regulation environment. We are right now at the USDA cataloging and categorizing all the regulations that are impediments to your productive capacity. And we're going to look at removing some of those, changing some of those, so when you get out of your pickup every morning, you're not afraid you're violating some federal rule or regulation. Wouldn't that be nice? You know? So we want to unleash you. We want to unhandcuff you where you can feel like you can voluntarily demonstrate to the United States of America, the people there, and the people of the world that you are the ultimate conservationist and you're the ultimate stewards of the land. I know that because I've lived with you all, and I know that you care for that land that you farm and ranch on more than anybody else could. And you want to care for what leaves your farm as well. With all the technology and the progress and the programs we have with clean water and clean air and all those kind of things, I want the United States farmers and ranchers to demonstrate to the world that they are the best stewards in the world. I can still remember the words of my father ringing in my ears there, son. He said, it's our responsibility to leave it better than we found it. And I can remember challenging him as a young teenager when we rented some land. We owned land, but we rented land next door to us. And he'd tell me to call the lime truck and deliver land out to some rented land where the lease, this was November after the crops were off, and we didn't know whether we'd have that land the next year or not. And I'd say, well, Daddy, these are annual leases. We don't know whether we're going to get that land back or not next year. He said, son, let me tell you something. We're all stewards, and it's our responsibility to leave it better than we found it. That's what I think you all do, and thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to hear from you about how we can make USDA a better deal for you as producers, ranchers, farmers, foresters, also for the citizens of America, for the shareholders that invest in us, and let us do it. As I said, I want the people of America to say, I'm glad that we've got a department that I feel like I get my value from each and every day. I want you to feel that way as our primary customers, because that's important to me. I'm a business guy, and I happen to have a little 8-year sabbatical in Atlanta, managing a pretty good organization. I tell people it was 2003 to 2011 when I was governor, and I proudly tell people that I grew a $20 billion budget to $16 billion. You know how I did it? I looked at some of those revenue estimates just like I look at the budget, And I said, wow, I don't like those. But you know what we did? We did just what you do each and every day, each and every year. We did what it took. We made it work. Because you face floods, you face droughts, you face hail, you face all those kind of things and the threats out there that keep you from being successful. But you survive and you do what it takes even in the tough times. Some of you have seen tough times. We don't have as tough a times now as we've had in the past. For those of you who went through the 80s, we've had tough times in agriculture. We've had good times. I remember the 2008 to 2013 years. We thought it was going to go on forever, didn't we? And we were having a big time. Some people got addicted to green paint during that period of time. But not red. I see the red tractors in here. But nonetheless, we know the ups and downs. And I will trust the United States farming community better than anyone else to absorb what our needs are budgetarily. We're going to try to do the best with Senator Roberts' help, Senator Daines' help, and their colleagues' help on the House side and the Senate side to make sure that we get a budget that's effective and efficient and helps us. But let's just face it, folks. Can you look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this question and answer with a straight face? Do you want to kick a $20 trillion debt down the road to your grandchildren? If I know farmers across America, I don't think you do. I don't. I think it's immoral to continue to do that. And we talk about that. Many people talk about resolving the debt crisis and doing that. You can't do spending like we're spending now. And so I applaud President Trump for laying on the table. He may not have known necessarily the best places to cut, but that's what Senator Roberts, Senator Daines, and the members of the House Appropriations will help him understand and help him to do that. And we're going to make sure it's a budget we can live with, but one that also contributes to the vitality and the economic prosperity of not only our generation, but generations to come. As I told you, I've got 14 grandchildren. I cannot look them in the eye in years to come when they say, Grandpa's name is Big Buddy. When they look and say, Big Buddy, you were there. Why didn't you do something? I cannot do that. We're going to do something. We're going to do something. We're going to do good, and we're going to do well. And at U.S. Agriculture, I know I can trust you in doing that. So thank you very much for having me here today. God bless you.